How doing it's look. In today's video, I'm going to tell you how I was able to quit my 9 to 5 job and go full time on YouTube, and then how we plan on moving soon, this week pretty much. And we're going to try and do daily updates as to what's going on so you can track in real time with me how I'm progressing basically. So, first things first is how did I get in this current position? That's kind of main topic of today's one. Now on AI Look, if you go and check the oldest videos, you'll see that I used to run a podcast like 3 years ago. I started running a podcast, as you can see, from my bedroom. Yeah, and that was me trying to figure out what's going on in the tech world, because I was in trying to leave a project management job within consulting to get back into tech, because I have an undergraduate degree in tech. And then after that, I started making some other videos on like AI stuff, and then I stopped. Then started back up doing Azure, because that was my job, cloud engineer, working with Azure. And I wanted to learn a bit of data engineering, so I've done some videos, tutorials on that, which since have blown up. I mean, look at that, 100,000. That is crazy. That is mind blowing. But anyway, so we done those videos, and then I started to drift and learn about AI, because I was like, hey, this is interesting, AI. And these videos, they never get any views. Some of them have like 70,000, the other one 100,000, but they're pretty hard to do. I was not a data engineer, so it's not for me. So anyway, then I started moving into AI in January last year, so 2025, we kind of went full AI, and this is me just learning for like the first time ever how to do it. So yeah, for the past year, it's just been like full AI, and since then we've gone into NEN and stuff, blah blah blah. And the main thing bringing in revenue is or has been sponsored videos. So that's the main driver. But the thing with sponsored videos, because they get a bad rap, is kind of that sponsored videos, people then just think they're like you're selling out, something to this effect often, right? But there's kind of a couple of things, right? Which is one, if you need, money, you're going to do stuff for money, right? Everybody does stuff for money, even if it's in the long game. So that's a kind of silly one there. The sponsored video stuff, though, is that people worry you're going to like distort or dilute the message. But I think the key thing is if you can just be true to what you're saying, so you don't lie, you're just showing people cool stuff at the end of the day and getting paid for it. And that's, how I look at it. So anyway, so basically sponsored videos. So the sponsored videos are the main driver. They take up something like 70% of the revenue, maybe more. And then you get affiliates, which is a smaller piece of the pie. And then what else did I do? I had the school community. We can talk about that another time, maybe a bit more in detail. Not today, I suppose. Let's talk about it today. Sponsored affiliate, then I had school, and then you have kind of miscellaneous stuff. So this is maybe some user generated content for people. So like you record ads for them. AdSense, this kind of thing. AdSense doesn't really take up much. AdSense was maybe something like, if I was to break this all up, it'd be like 10% for AdSense, maybe 20% for affiliate, probably 5% for school, 2% for miscellaneous, which leaves me like 7, 37, 63% for sponsored videos, something like that. But affiliate is proper like this kind of revenue, so it's hard to gauge. Sponsors a little bit, but actually less so. So anyway, so the main premise here that I'm trying to get at is that sponsored videos are the bread and butter of that channel. Now on the channel I have, as you can see, I've done some NA10 stuff as well, automations, etc. With some cool ones that we've done, VO3 video ads. So, I know what I'm talking about technically, and I don't like when I only make videos with no technical portion. So what I'm going to do is we're going to split the channel into two routes, and this will be like a third channel that we'll have here. And I'll show you the rationale and what we're going to do with that. So we have at present AI Look channel, so that's the channel you just seen. It has like 26k subscribers. And this AI Look channel, we're going to continue doing this and lean into the sponsored video stuff. We're going to try and think and see of kind of two routes for the sponsored video, which is either you can just do it like like reviews. So just reviewing tools, teaching people how to do stuff. You know, when you find a new tool, right? Like, say you've never seen ChatGPT before, and you're like, how do I use ChatGPT? Or, you know, how do I make my own website? And then you find a video and you watch a tutorial, that kind of thing. And or kind of creative ways in which to do this. So there's either a standardization of this or a creative way to do it. And we'll just see what comes in. And we'll stay on top of as well, like the kind of latest cool stuff in AI. So this is more of like a sponsored videos type of area. But I used to do NAN and stuff, but that's going to be moving. So that NAN stuff is now going to be moving to a new channel. So if we go, say, right, so this is our new channel that we're going to go with here, YouTube Systems. And the main reason for this here is to have my NAN workflows and my AI automations that I use and that I'm interested in a single place. So if we just here, we'll just say look bum, right? Because that makes sense here. Systems. And so on here, it's going to be NAN automation stuff, and it's going to be stuff pertaining to kind of solopreneurship. So this is what I've been interested in for the entire time. And now the solopreneur side of things is that I've always been interested in business, and then AI Look is a channel now that the average I think is something like what would it have been? Probably like maybe $3-ish thousand a month on average. And this is on top of my 9 to 5. So I have my 9 to 5 job, and then on the weekends and at nights, then we're making this, which is mental. So for me at the time, especially mental. So the how I do this on my own, whilst having 2 kids, one of them just turned 2 in October. Another one was just born in July. So last year was mental. To have 2 kids and move and a 9 to 5 and still do this, you need to have your kind of solopreneur systems in the back end to leverage AI. So my idea is I want to teach people the systems that I create and use and find interesting, but also practical. I want to show them that. Now, they're not only NA10, which is why I've split them up, because NA10, it kind of gets you like 90% of the way there. Sometimes even less. And I always see guys being like, oh, you know, this replaced my system. And whenever I've tried to use them to replace my systems entirely, they never work. So you have to have you plus the AI automation to really work. Otherwise, you produce subpar content. That's roughly what I've found. You can do it, the full AI, but you're getting like 90% of the quality. And the problem is, in this gap up to the 100% quality, that's kind of what matters. And obviously you can go and critique my channel, this one here, whatever. The point I'm trying to get at is systems, not necessarily, you know, like script analysis and writing and whatever. Although it's the case for that too. So anyway, I'm going to cover Solopreneur and NA10 stuff on this channel. And this is going to funnel then into a community. And the community that it's going to funnel into is a circle community. Now, I used to have a school community, and I'm going to make a few videos about why I'm no longer going to use school for my main community. So I used to have this paid community, AI Automation Pro, and it had classrooms with stuff, AI basics. So I had like a bunch of actual lessons and stuff as well as all of my automations and the videos and stuff as well on here. Now, it's all pretty cool, but the problem I ran into at the time was mainly that I didn't have the time and energy to do this whilst having an actual job, which was difficult, but also the value proposition. So it began my school journey, just so you kind of know where I am, is the school journey started off called Applied AI, and now this was because I was like, what is AI? How does it work? That's so interesting. Then, as you learn it, so it's funny, my trajectory has kind of been just the same as the market, which is what is AI and how does it work? So I started learning how does it work, like fundamentally how does it work, what is a large language model, etc. Then after that you start getting onto like, so what can it do? And this is where you then get into like automation stuff. Oops. So you see like all your guys who do make tutorials, and then I do or have done NA10 tutorials and stuff. And the automation is a practical application of artificial intelligence as we see it today. Now, this automation stuff is kind of like your any ends and your make.com, and at that time, anyone who was teaching it is kind of popping off, right? And I, unfortunately, didn't have the time, energy, effort, will, whatever you may call it, to double down on that area at the time. I was still kind of like, I'm interested in loads of stuff. And so the problem here is that this outcome was purely informational. And this informational outcome is like, why would you pay just for information? People moan about it all the time. So the next one then is automation. And it's like, well, what's the point? So what's the goal? And the goal of my automation, again, was kind of like, it's cool, but it was very broad. So loads of use cases. So finally, the third one here, which is where we are now, is like, where? So my applied AI is information. What is AI? AI Automation Pro is what is automation? How do you do it? Like NA10 basically. But I was scared to double down on NA10 at the time. But now it's like, right, how do I use AI automation somewhere practical for a result? So now here, we're wanting to niche right down to get some sort of result. And so the niches kind of go in some sort of funnel where we have like entrepreneur, probably honestly a larger funnel above that, where we have like business, right? Generally. Within business, we have entrepreneurship. Within entrepreneurship, we have solopreneurship. So this is one person business. We also have YouTubers, to be fair, in here. And then within solopreneurs, you also have your YouTube solopreneurs. So the idea is that when you're just teaching AI, you're kind of like over here, so teaching AI, whereas over here, you have, you've been distracted. Someone needs technical help in my house. And of course, I'm the tech guy in this house. So when you're teaching AI, you're over here. When you're trying to implement it, you're over here. When you target business generally, you really need to be a corporation. You're going to get nowhere. When you target entrepreneurs, it's very general advice. And so you need to be big or specific or early. Solopreneurs, I think you could target this, but again, it's quite broad. So really your specialization here is going to be something like marketing. Whereas YouTube, this is, in my opinion, sufficiently niche where we can talk about it. And the cool thing is, this is the whole point of the AI Look stuff, is that I am essentially a YouTube solopreneur here. I'm going to then be a YouTube solopreneur on this as well. And I can just talk about what works and doesn't work on AI Look. And so then we can teach this here. And so the essence is going to be, basically, we're going to have a community called YouTuber Systems, and this YouTuber Systems community is going to replace like this third part, and on here it's going to teach you NA10 stuff, but it's going to kind of basically teach, you know, here's my plug and play system for NA10 plus what I do, so plus you for personalization, and that is how you get the results. And my main thinking on how to flesh this out properly right now, because we're kind of we're just clarifying the structure at the moment. So how we're going to mainly try to do this is we need to put a price tag on this here, and in the background we need to build out the actual community itself, which includes the courses, which includes the automation content, etc. So I think we're going to divide it probably by business case, so like thumbnails, descriptions, idea generation, editing, this kind of stuff. But we're still in the kind of early days of trying to figure that out, although hopefully we should have it figured out tomorrow, because startups move fast. So, where was I even going with this? Basically, I quit my 9 to 5 because I was able to make enough revenue to cover minimal expenditure in our house at the moment. We've got a tiny, we're in a position where we think that we could do this, and I think the time is yesterday, so I need to do it now. And so we've quit 9 to 5, jumped all in on this AI stuff. We're looking now at like, how do we actually make this practical as an actual business? And for me, I think that's solopreneur. Talk about what you know, Mine's is about YouTube, and so we're going to make a course for that pretty much. But it's going to be tailored to AI automation because that is the thing that we're teaching at the moment. So, Solopreneur, AI systems for YouTubers is basically the premise. But yeah, so that's the thing. And so to actually funnel this from YouTube into Circle, which I'm going to use instead of school for a bunch of reasons, like so many reasons. It's hard to track who buys in school. You can't remove spam. I personally think that it doesn't look very appealing. If you open it up, I think I personally think that it doesn't convey the depth of trust that I would seek before buying something from a website that I don't know about. That's probably how I would think for that. So anyway, we're going to move to Circle, which is going to look a lot cooler. I'll show you the Circle one here. I'm still ironing all of this stuff out, but it looks much slicker here. So, oops. You can see there's a bunch of different stuff inside here. We'll open up Think Media's Circle so you can see what it kind of looks like. And it's similar, but I think it just has a much slicker way to move around and see and do stuff. And it just looks more trustworthy, in my opinion. Anyway, so YouTube Solopreneur stuff. That's what we're going to do. As for the structure, in essence, we're now moving from a model of like, if it's cool, it goes in it, in the course that is, or instead of thinking course first, so I'm like, normally I would think, right, what do people need to know to do AI automation? Well, they need to know about agents, they need to know about what is a workflow, they need to know roughly how an agent or AI LLM works under the hood. Now these are just kind of like what-if-isms or I think-isms, which don't lead anywhere. So in reality, what I'm doing now is creating some sort of avatar, and we've got a wee avatar, we'll call him Peter, and Peter is a real estate YouTuber, and he wants to leave his real estate job to become a full-time YouTuber. So he stumbles across one of your videos. That video is how to automatically write YouTube descriptions, because then he doesn't have to do that ever again, and maybe he uploads every other day, so it's a lot of time saved. For example, in my prime of posting every single day, writing a YouTube description and timestamps from scratch takes ages. Like, takes the length of the video just to see the timestamps and figure them out at least. Then with AI, you can get those, but then you still have to go and check it to look good, and you have to copy and paste it, upload it. Whereas with this, boom, it's done. So Peter then comes to my community to go and get the template, and for me to tell him how to do it, and then have contact with me to then see if there's any problems. So then, what does he do through here? So he's going to just try and automatically sign up to NA10. So we need a video on how to sign up to NA10. Then he's going to go and have to download the JSON. So there'll be a video on how to download the JSON. And then you'll have to import it. So there'll be a video on how to import it. And then a video on how to add your API keys and what are they. And then you'll have it running, and we'll have like a rough overview of how it runs, right? And so suddenly you have this track of I can't remember what you call it, but start to finish of what's he thinking, what's he doing, where's he going to go, what's he going to need, and then if he has errors, where's he going to go, how's he going to try to resolve that. And this should all be based on, because me a year ago was the avatar that I now seek. I was Peter, apparently. Then I can put myself in that position. So we're going to go through that, and we're trying to flesh that out just now. But yeah, essence is we have a channel that's running. That channel is profitable. We're going to continue on that channel. We'll experiment with the latest in AI and sponsors, because obviously AI hasn't changed as much as it used to, but there's still, the tools are super valuable. And you'll see people complain and say, oh, they're just rappers, blah, blah, blah. But this anti-rapper argument is just silly, in essence. Because even a prompt like a pre-loaded prompt that someone would give you, or a system message, they're essentially wrappers, but they're super important. So just because you could do it doesn't mean you will. The same way you go to a supermarket and buy food instead of making it yourself, even though you could. So the wrapper argument's daft. I think tools can be really good. They can optimize for user experience for certain people, certain avatars, and that's where you really want to lean into. So I'm going to continue teaching that, learn about latest in AI and experimenting here, but it's going to be more of a kind of systematized approach to what's going on in AI. And then this other side, it's going to be your actual tutorials. And then on here, which is kind of third one, is going to do Luke's daily updates. Because in here, I just want to build it transparently across time. I was initially worried that I'd be giving away my strategies. Which sounds daft, but it's true. Because you're telling everyone like what you're doing at the moment. But I'm not a corporation. I'm not a massive business. I'm a one-person influencer band. So I think it's worth documenting with people what's working and what's not working. So in the comments below, in this video, any video, just ask me questions about stuff and I'll help the best I can. Because I spent my entire life trying to become a YouTuber, off and on, and it never worked. And then suddenly it did work. And when it did work, you need to just focus on the thing that did work, because that's how it works, for want of a better phrase. But anyway, so I want to build this all in public and see how we can do. Our peak with our old school community was like, what did we get to? 30, 32, 33 members, something like that. I think the peak we reached was something like 500 a month. On school, which is pretty cool, and we've seen that actually leads to, ironically, money leads to money, as they say, is then that leads to consultations, and for consultations, people are well willing to give you like $100 an hour for consultations. So then suddenly, you have one person wants a consultation a week, and suddenly that's now you up at almost $1,000 just for school, which to big players is nothing, right? See these guys on school making 400 or 500 grand apparently a month or whatever. According to them, this is nothing. Not according to them. In comparison to them, this is nothing. But in comparison to a normal person who may be paying, $1,000 a month on rent, that's just covered, your rent or definitely your food or whatever. Anyway, so follow along, see how we do, see how we go. I'll do these updates every other day, or every day actually, ideally. If we go and look right now, just for laughing's sake, we have 5 subscribers for this one here. We have 0 subscribers here because it's not made yet. And AI look, let me see. We have 29.3k. Hey, that's pretty impressive stuff. So yeah, cool. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you next one. Bye bye.